You know, the great thing about living in college is that you can live super cheap and it doesn't even cramp your style. Nobody expects you to drive a Lambo, live in a mansion. You're basically supposed to be broke. Like, that's what that period of life is all about. But that's actually your secret weapon, because this is actually the perfect time to make sacrifices that will set you up for real wealth later. Listen, I got super scrappy in college. I found creative ways to basically get into real estate. I started with no money and the suckiest job on the planet, and it worked. And if you're willing to hustle and think a little different, you can do the exact same thing. What I want to do in today's video is share with you 5 ways to start investing in real estate, even if you're just in college. One shot, now the future is yours. Go! Dude, let's be real. Most people wait until they're settled before they ever really think about things like investing, because that's like something for grown-ups. But by then, they've got a mortgage, they've got kids, they've got debt, they've got no time, they've got no energy. And yet college was actually one of the very best windows in their life to start building something, right? When you had nothing, you needed nothing, because you've got flexibility. You got roommates, and you've got a campus full of people that are basically renting overpriced apartments, which means that demand is kind of baked into the situation. And most importantly, you've got time and you've got energy. Most people frankly wig out when they're like, wait, when you were in college, you bought 25 homes? And it's like, yeah. And they're like, well, how did you have time for that? How did you have money for that? And the truth is, I already knew that I wasn't gonna be a doctor, which is what originally brought me to college. Yet I had a new mother-in-law. She was gonna kill me if I didn't get a degree. And so I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go to college, I'm gonna get a degree, but I don't want to waste my life either. So what am I going to do during college? I'm going to build my real estate portfolio, even though I'm starting with nothing, to a level where by the time college is over, I don't have to get a job. Basically, my time in college set me up in life so that I didn't have to ever work again. So think about it for yourself. Whether you're in your 20s or 30s or you are in college, you're young, so you're not super bogged down yet with all of life's obligations. And that means that if you start now, your assets have years to grow. And let me tell you something about real estate. The younger you start and the more time you have, it's going to compound and build itself into something really, really impressive. Like right now, I'm taking millions of dollars off the table from real estate I bought a long time ago because it's had time to mature. In other words, when you're young and you feel like, but I don't have money and I don't have credit, I'm like, yeah, but you have your most valuable asset. You have time. And beyond that, you also have the stamina to basically grind while others are sleeping in. So check it out. Whether you've got $0 like when I got started, if you've got no credit like when I got started, or you've got no idea where to start, this video is going to show you 5 different ways that you can get into the real estate investing game while you're young or you're in college. Let's go. Now, before we dive in, I want you to hit that like button and subscribe, because this channel is all about real estate strategies, business, and ways to help you financially get ahead in the world. Thanks. Okay, the first of the 5 strategies I'm going to cover is what I call house hacking. This is hands down one of the easiest ways to start building wealth in college. Now, I'm just going to tell you right now, when I was in college, I did not want to go into student loan debt, so I was one of those kids that was a full-time student and I worked full-time. And having a full-time job is part of what helped me get into my very first house as a college kid. Because ultimately, here's what house hacking means. It means that you buy a home, you live in a part of it, and you rent out of the rest of it. So basically your roommates or your tenants, they're the ones that are paying for your house, which typically is your greatest expense in life. And now you have someone else who's paying it for you. Well, in college, it could look like you buying a small home, living in one bedroom, and then renting out the other bedrooms to other roommates. And you're already living with people, like why not have them pay you instead of paying a landlord? Now, here's how you pull it off. Number 1, you've got to build some credit. Even a basic student credit card paid off monthly can start moving the needle. When it comes to credit, generally a bank wants to see that you have at least 2 or 3 credit lines. And as long as you're just paying them off monthly and you've got a 2-year history, they're going to say, that's enough for us to qualify you. Number 2, you're going to have a job, or you're going to have someone that will co-sign. Like it could be a parent saying, I'm going to qualify financially for this, and I'm going to actually partner up with my son or daughter, and I'm going to co-sign with them, and it'll help build their credit. By the way, being in school full-time for 2 years actually counts towards income history. Interesting. Number 3, you're going to save up money for a cheap down payment. So FHA loans, they require a 3.5% down payment. When I bought my very first house, it was like the tiniest little home, period, about 5 blocks from campus. The house was worth $150,000 because it was so small. I bought it for $110,000. So my 3.5% FHA down payment was like $3,300. Buy something small, rent out the extra rooms to other students, and boom, now you're actually in the game and they're actually paying off your house for you. Just think how cool that is. Bottom line is the key is to get into a house that you own as early, as young as possible so you can start getting the benefits of the rent and then of course the appreciation. Because what you're doing is you're building equity with your roommates who are paying the bill. And while this is happening, you're learning the game of real estate way before graduation. Sorry to interrupt, but this can't wait. When I started investing in real estate, I made one decision. I was going to study every strategy that was out there, buy and hold, fix and flip, short-term rentals. I was going to look at everything, but I wanted to basically compare them and find the best strategy. And I found it. I call it the straight path to real estate wealth. And guess what? It literally outperformed everything with the highest ROI, the least amount of effort, and the smallest startup cost at all. And that's basically why I wrote this book, The Straight Path to Real Estate Wealth. If you want to build passive income and start hitting 6 and 7 figures without burning out, click the link below, get this book, read it. Believe me, there's millions of strategies out there, but only one that gets you there faster, cleaner, and with your sanity intact. Number 2, lease options. The next way for you to get into real estate while you're in college is actually with a real estate investment strategy called lease option. And this one for me was a game changer because you don't need money, you don't need credit, and you don't even need to own the property. You see, in the game of real estate, control is sometimes more powerful than owning something. In fact, I don't like to own stuff. I like to control it and make money with it. So here's what a lease option means. It means that you lease a house now, and then later you have an option of buying it down the road. And in the meantime, you're gonna profit. And here's how you're gonna profit from it. Here's step 1. You gotta find a don't wanter and take control. You're looking for someone that basically owns a house that doesn't want it anymore. They're tired of managing it, or they've mentally moved on and they're just struggling maybe with the house or the payment. They just don't want to manage it anymore. What you're gonna do is step in. You're gonna take over the mortgage through a lease option agreement. There's gonna be no big loan, no qualifying with the bank, no down payment, just paperwork that gives you immediate control over the home. Then you move on to step 2. You're gonna find a tenant using what I call compassionate financing, where basically you're going to advertise the home as a rent to own. It's perfect for families who basically want to buy, but they're struggling to get currently approved with the bank, so this feels safer to them. These people, by the way, they are everywhere, and they're often willing to pay a premium for the opportunity, as in like, can I give you $10,000 or $20,000 to skip the bank, and maybe you, nice human being, can be the bank and charge me something monthly because a bank says no to me and you're saying yes to me? Step 3. Collect a down payment and start collecting monthly rent. Now, you are going to charge a non-refundable option deposit. It could be $3,000, $10,000, $20,000. It's what they pay up front, just like a down payment that basically allows you to get in the mortgage. And then they're going to then give you rent, and this is what's going to give you cash flow. So think of it like when the don't wanter gave me the house tonight, just cover my mortgage, it's $1,500 a month. But the family moving in is paying $2,100 a month. That's $600 left over. The motivated seller didn't ask for any money down. They're giving you $10,000 down. Well, now you get 10 grand non-refundable upfront. You're getting $600 every month of positive cash flow. This takes us finally to step 4. They rent with the intention that they're eventually going to buy the house. So usually within 4 to 5 years, they're going to buy this house from you and they're going to plan on qualifying with financing. They're going to buy the house. You're going to walk away with a huge profit. They're going to walk away with a house that they got in early that they could live in and basically make it like their own. Listen, before I graduated college, I did this 25 times, and it's the main reason why I never needed a job after college. If this sounds like a strategy that you want to learn more about, I did make a video that goes into a lot more detail of these 4 steps and how it works, and I'll show you exactly how to structure the deal, where you're going to find the tenants, and basically what contracts to use. Click the link below in the description, and let me give you access to what you're going to need. Okay, the third of 5 strategies to do while you're a college kid. It's called wholesaling. And if you've got hustle but no money, wholesaling is one of the fastest ways to break into the real estate market. Listen, you don't need to own a house. You don't need to fix anything. You don't need credit. You don't need a job. You don't need a bunch of capital. What you do need is grit, because this strategy is more about hustle and marketing rather than building a long-term portfolio or anything else. Here's basically how it works. You're going to find someone who wants to sell their house fast, and maybe they're behind on their payments. The house is dilapidated, it's behind on repairs, and they're basically going through a divorce or they're moving. The house basically needs work. And some houses, by the way, need $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 work. And if they're financially strapped and they don't have the ability to pull equity out of the house, they're stuck with no way to fix it up to get it ready to sell on the market. When you find this kind of deal, you're going to negotiate to get it under contract, and you're often going to get it at a 30, 40, 50% discount. And then what you're going to do is you're going to go find an investor that wants the deal, who has the cash to buy it, who's going to fix it up and do all of the flip. But instead of you doing all of that work, you're just going to say, hey, I have a contract to get it at this low price. Do you want to take it off my hands for a fee like $10,000 or $20,000, or if you find a really juicy one, $50,000? These deals are out there. Now here's the cool part. You're not flipping the house. You're flipping a piece of paper that says that you have an agreement to buy it at a low price. And it sounds a little bit wild, but I've seen college students make $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 on a single deal just for being the connector that negotiated a good deal and passed it on to a professional investor. So here's your job. You got to find motivated sellers. You got to lock in a price that works for the investor, and then you pass the deal on to the buyer, where you collect your assignment fee and then rinse and repeat and make money over and over again. And by the way, there's college kids doing this everywhere. And if you're good at talking to people, or if you like solving problems, or you like marketing yourself, wholesaling could literally be, of the 5 strategies, the perfect way for you to stack cash fast. And once you've got some capital, you can reinvest it into properties that you can keep long term. Great way to start. If you're a college kid, here's the 4th strategy for doing real estate now. It's called pre-foreclosures. This strategy is all about timing. You see, a pre-foreclosure happens when a homeowner falls behind on their mortgage, but the bank hasn't taken the home back yet. They're just somewhat behind. It's like a window of opportunity, right? Where they're basically saying, we're in a bad situation, it's gonna get worse, and we wanna get out of it. And if you can secure that deal below market value, these people are often stressed, they're overwhelmed, they just need someone who can offer them a real solution. So if you show up with empathy and a solid strategy and basically say, listen, I can help you avoid foreclosure so it doesn't have to sit on your credit for 10 years and you're gonna lose all your equity, let me come in and get in on the deal, and we can take some of that equity. Like, let's just say there's $100,000 of equity. If I can save this from you guys losing it to the bank, what if we split the equity equally? Well, rather than getting nothing, they're gonna get something. Listen, you can find pre-foreclosures through public records, driving through neighborhoods, or using apps and all sorts of different tools for distressed properties. And here's how it works. Once you identify a lead, it's all about how you approach them, right? You're not showing up as a shark, you're showing up as a lifeline. And so a real estate investor has these options, they're solution oriented, and when someone's about to lose their house and ruin their credit, or their family's gonna have to move or relocate, they're often willing to consider very creative solutions. And from there, you've got flexibility, right? You've got 3 really good options. You can wholesale the deal like we talked about earlier. You can sell it to another investor for some cash. Number 2, you could structure it as a lease option where you get paid up front and cash flow along the way. Or number 3, if the numbers really make sense, you can take over the payments yourself, add the property to your portfolio, and boom, like you're in the game with all these creative options. Now listen, pre-foreclosures are powerful because they do come with urgency. These homeowners, they want to move fast. And that motivation creates opportunity as long as you know how to navigate it. It does take legwork, sure, but listen, if you're willing to show up and help, you can find these deals. It helps people in tremendous ways, and that's a 4th tremendous way for you to get in the game. All right, check it out. Number 5, OPM, other people's money, the 5th and final strategy for college kids or young people that want to get in the game when you're lacking funds. Listen, let's be real. Just because you don't have money, it doesn't mean money isn't out there. In fact, this is kind of cool. There's more money looking for good deals than there are good deals to put into the game. You see, that's where OPM, other people's money, comes in. You don't need to be rich to invest in real estate. Like literally, how did I acquire 25 homes when I was a college kid? Well, my currency was I found really good deals. And here's what I learned. If it's truly a good deal, the money is out there. I'm just the deal maker, and all I have to do is say, hey, I've got a good deal, open some channels, the money shows up, and guess what? Now you're in business. So if you can bring the deal, someone else is gonna bring the dough. But here's the trick. This is all contingent on you knowing how to basically spot a good deal. That's the part that most people skip. You see, if you can find a deal that makes sense, something with clear equity or something with good cash flow or some kind of good upside, some meat on the bone, then finding someone with money, that's actually the easy part because money follows value. Even if you're like, I don't know anyone with money, trust me, the money comes out of the woodworks if you get on the bullhorn a little bit because you actually found it out. In fact, go into social media and say, I just found a ridiculous deal. You're going to get comments, but that value starts with knowledge. You have to know your numbers, and you got to understand what makes a deal work. And you've got to expect to look at 100 properties before you find one really good one that is worth bringing to a partner. Now that's the grind part. So that's what this strategy is about, is the ability to grind it out. But if you're good at it, people are going to line up to work with you. When I was in college, I did not have a dime to my name. I just had debt. But I had time, not very much. I had energy, and I had huge willingness to learn. I was majorly teachable. And after I did my first few deals, I found a deal that penciled. I brought it to my father-in-law. He saw the numbers, he saw the plan, and he basically said, let's do it. My father-in-law was the most unlikely first investor because he kind of made fun of me on my first 3 deals. Like, what's this kid doing? He's a college kid. Why is he buying home? But I'll tell you what, that one home, it led to another, it led to another, and ultimately it led to other trusted partners, like people that were like, hey, I've got a 401k, I've got an IRA, I've got money in the bank. If this kid is doing deals that are working, we'll give him the money. And guess what? That's what I've been doing for the last 20 years. And that's ultimately how I started my portfolio as a college kid, long before most people actually think it's possible. Now listen, if you're willing to do the work, OPM could literally be what opens the doors instead of a bank. Well, college is supposed to be the time when you're broke, when you're buried in textbooks, and you're basically waiting to start life in a few years. But I actually think it's the best time to build something big. You've got time, you've got youth, you've got energy, you've got flexibility. All of those are actually assets. More than anything, what do you really have to lose? I didn't have anything to lose, and that's why I did it. So if you're willing to get creative and take action, then you can set yourself up financially for the rest of your life. Listen, whether it's house hacking, lease options, wholesaling, pre-foreclosures, or just using other people's money, there's not just one path to success in the game of real estate. There's many, and there's many more than even the ones I'm mentioning. But every one of these strategies I've personally used. And I did them when I was in college, I did them when I was young, and I'm just telling you that whether you're my age or whether you're older or whether you're in college, they all work right now. And if you're ready to stop waiting and you want to start doing, then this is your moment. I want you to pick one of these 5 strategies, and I want you to take the next step. I want you to commit to the journey, because here's the truth. You're never too young to actually start building wealth. But if you wait too long, you might never start.